during those COVID days.
All right. Now, you were perusing through junk, and you found out what the Lions receiving core was ranked number 4 in the National Football League.
Yeah, actually, that was something Sean threw in our text chain,
All right.
which brought up some thought. They're the number 4th overall rated wide receiver group, according to PFF. And I think they're behind. Number 1 is the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is the Buccaneers. Number 3 is the Bengals. And then they got the Lions.
I can buy that.
All right, so here we go. Eagles earned a 79.1 PFF receiving grade last year. Had A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. They also used Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, and Dotson. They had Tampa at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
They had Cincinnati at number 3. Now, the Lions, according to PFF, had the highest team grade last year at receiver.
Yeah.
The highest.
And they're all back, by the way.
Here's what they say. 5 Detroit players recorded marks of 74 or higher. St. Brown, Jameson, Laporta, Gibbs, David Montgomery. St. Brown and Montgomery earned elite 90-plus PFF receiving. The Lions receiving core is diverse and features high-ceiling players at every position. And they come in at 4th. By the way, in case people were wondering, this is something that we went back and forth with last year with the cute little Viking fans who said they had that.
So cute.
They came in at number 6.
The Vikings at 6.
Vikings at
That's
number
a
6.
very fine number.
Very fine number.
I still think the Lions get marked down a little bit because of St. Brown. He doesn't stretch the field. He doesn't average 16, 17 yards per catch. He's just a workhorse. He's almost like a running back in the passing game, in that if you need a short yardage situation, they can double and triple team him, but he's still gonna get his yards.
Yeah.
But he's not spectacular.
He's not flashy like, I guess, A.J. Brown, who's number 1, Mike Evans, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. That's a good twosome. But when you look at the depth of the wide receiver position, tight end position, and running back position, it is hard to not have the Lions at number 1. And I'm not mad at this. They're great teams above us. The Buccaneers have depth out their butt. But the Lions, I mean, when Khalif Raymond, Tesla, when that's your 4 and your 5, you got a top 5 tight end with Laporta and 2 of the best pass-catching running backs in the league.
And I think Laporta's going to be a lot better this year.
I think so, too.
I thought there was some disconnect between him and Jared Goff last season. I couldn't put my hands on it. It was like they just weren't on the same page.
If the Jameson Williams season is everything we think it's going to be,
Oh, it is.
we might revisit this by the end of the year too. I'm with you. I'm not gonna cry over this. Number 4. I know. Oh, how could you say that? They were number 1 last year and everybody's back. Hey, relax, calm down. But if this Jameson Williams year is what I think is going to be, I know so many other people think it's going to be, we'll have this conversation again come January. Because that I think the one thing that hurts them, at least from national perspective, is where's the home run power? And I still don't think the average human being understands we have the home run power.
Yeah.
And then some. We do. I think he's going to let the people know this year. I really truly do. I think Jameson's on par for a huge year.
And
I hear you. However, I still think my bunion is saying Sam Laporta is going to be spectacular this year.
Okay, I won't argue with that either.
Yeah.
And even though J-Mo may get more touches and maybe more yards and stuff, I just think Laporta is going to be a monster.
Part of what's special about Jameson Williams is he doesn't require 10 targets a game to get his 100 to 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. He might need 2. He might need 3 to statistically be there with some of the other
I can't say that word
tier
either. Receivers.
Statistically.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
It is.
It's like everything gets stuck.
Yeah, you got to really enunciate.
And don't forget the little jet sweeps that he'll couple a game.
Right. Gotta just toss it to him or toss it to him forward, so it's a catch. But no, him having the year that we expect out of him, to me, that will just, and I believe it already, but that puts him above the T. Higgins of the world. These top number twos, the T. Higgins, the Devontae Smiths, who are both great receivers. I think Jameson Williams has a lot more potential than those two players. And that's where I see them next year making that jump for a PFF list. I'm more, if I'm being honest, I know it's not Lions related, I'm more like confused with some of the other wide receiver corps that are down lower, like the Texans at number 10. I think they have a nasty receiving group.
I do
when
too.
Tate Dell's healthy.
Yep.
And the Colts. And I know we brought them up for not having a quarterback, but they've got 4 really good wide receivers, 5 if you want to include that Gould, the rookie from last year. But when you're going Pittman, Downs, Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell, Jonathan Taylor out the backfield, they're ranked 17th.
Is
They
the
don't have a
Anthony
quarterback.
Richardson experiment done, yo? Is it like, right? You got to drop
Should be.
that, right?
Should be. It's not.
It's not happening.
It should have been done before it started.
Right. I mean, it's not happening.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
They
And-
should have gone and got our boy from Minnesota, Darnold,
Yeah.
instead of Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing down in Indy. But
They are just the ultimate, we're in the race until mid-December team. They really are. They're just, it seems like every year they're right there. You know, I know Neil Rule always uses the term, you know, when you're showing the playoff hunt and or with. You know, when the playoff chances
Yeah.
and or with. It's like you just put that Colt logo up there, right? That dumb horseshoe. They are the poster child for that. But, you know, getting back to the Lions, listen, St. Brown's going to get his. Like make
No matter
no
what.
mistake about that. That's the undeniable to me. But this is where I think it gets interesting. I think if you're talking about receptions, yeah, St. Brown's going to lead it, and he's going to lead it by a mile. But this is where it gets interesting. As Terry said, do we see more of Sam Laporta?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have, as you said, 4 receptions, 120 yards from Jameson Williams? Okay, he mixed in a 60-yarder and then had 3 other catches for like 55, 60 yards or whatever. I think that's where those numbers might shine, is where he might eclipse St. Brown is the yardage.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I think, the all-purpose yardage, as you guys were talking about with the sweeps and whatnot. But St. Brown's still going to get his.
Right.
Make no mistake about it.
Allen Robinson talked on the heavyweights this last week about just that, how valuable Jameson Williams is to this offense, both from what he can do athletically and as an individual receiver, but also because he doesn't require a lot of those targets to get his. So the St. Browns, the Laportas, the Tim Patricks of the world, they can still have a incredibly meaningful role in the passing game. Like you said, St. Brown isn't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. He's still going to lead this team in receptions. J-Mo just doesn't need 100 receptions. T. Higgins, does he need 80, 90 targets to get his 10 touchdowns? Yeah, he does. Devontae Smith does too.
And if you don't give him those targets, he's going to bitch about it.
That too. J-Mo's just going to be over on the sideline practicing humping some pylons.
Right.
We do have the most elite
I hope he enjoys
touchdown
it.
celebration wide receiver crew.
Well, they practice.
They do.
If you practice, you're going to be good.
They do. They do.
But they're going to have a no humping rule for J-Mo.
I think that might be a new Scotty Montgomery rule taking over running the wide receiver group. He might not let them do as much as Antoine Randall would, but I think they also value the guys having fun. And that's part of – they're all 24 years old and younger. Mm-hmm. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. And they want to be a part of that social media craze to increase their popularity. And it's worked for St. Brown.
I'm just afraid J-Mo's going to get one of those pylons pregnant. That's what I'm afraid of.
Happy Father's Day.
Yes.
Yeah. He just might. It's a talented offense that Jared Goff has a lot to work with this coming year.
He does.
I'm not upset about it. I read it. You know, I know some people are going to complain. You know, everybody, oh, we deserve to be higher, all that. Nah, I'm not going to sweat that too much because I think 2 things. Number one, you could make the argument, much like we were having the conversation earlier. I'm not going to get mad if somebody says Dan Campbell. I would hope that somebody doesn't get mad if you say A.J. Hinch.
Right.
I think this is a season of opportunity for this receiving core. Okay, maybe it's almost like all those years we were so bad. I'm convinced people around the National Football League didn't understand what a bad franchise we are. And I talk to people, and I know, Terry, you talk to people. I talk to people from other markets. I'm talking about, like, sportscasters. People, it's your job to do that. And you'd say things to them, and they're like, no, that ain't true. Yep, no, really, we've won one playoff game. No, that isn't true. Dude, you got to go look that up. Holy jeez, oh, Pete, are you serious? Well, now the flip side's happening. I don't think maybe people understand in mass, even with the success of the last couple of years. I don't think people understand in mass how much talent's here. And that's cool. Now, that doesn't mean, I think people know the Detroit Lions are a threat. I'm not saying that we're going to sneak up on anybody, but I think some eyes are going to be opened, because especially the deeper you go into the playoff, I think people start to pay attention. Whether we want to admit it or not, I think a couple of years ago, a lot of people looked at us as a cute little story.
Yeah.
I really do. I firmly believe that.
I think what's happening, at least from a national perspective, they look at the losing of 2 coordinators. That might be the downfall of the Lions, but it's something that they can overcome maybe next season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way people are looking at things now. That you maybe take a 1-year step back and then you rebound next year.
I just think people have short memories, man. I do. I bring it up all the time. I look at the circumstances with Dallas. Norv Turner's gone. There's the offensive guru, Troy Aikman's best friend, Dave Wanstead's gone. All those years of the New England
wasn't
Patriots.
Dave Wanstead a little bit of a clown?
Yes, absolutely he was.
Right.
But that didn't stop people. That didn't stop, and so was Norv Turner for that matter. But that didn't stop people saying, "Well, that's it for Dallas. That's it." And all the years that the New England Patriots lost their guys. Now I understand they had the greatest quarterback of all time at the helm, but I think people have short memories like that, man. I do. And I'm a firm believer, and I heard a Lion say that this particular week. I'm a firm believer that players make plays. Mm-hmm. I am. For all the egos of coaches, all right, I'm a firm believer that players make plays. It's not the system.
I agree with you on that, but I think this fan base is not used to losing coordinators.
Yep.
Because they would stay here forever because nobody wanted them.
Yep.
But when you're good and when you make noise in this league, guess what? People are going to hire your coordinators